Echoplex Media, boo.
I'm white, and I've got everything I need. No one clutches their purses when they're in a room alone with me. And I can drive through any neighborhood I please at any hour, and the police don't do a thing. So if I see a penny on the ground, I leave it alone and fucking flip it. I'm a straight white male in America. I've got everything I need. I'm a guy getting paid more than a girl with a degree. And I can walk down the streets after dark, no one wants to rape me. And I can get a girl pregnant and just as easily flee. Just like my straight white male dad did to me. So if I see a penny on the ground, I leave it alone and fucking flip it. I'm a straight white male in America. I've got all the luck I need. I've got a pile of broken mirrors and I'm walking under ladders and I'm spilling tons of salt, but to me that doesn't matter, cause my skin and my gender and my orientation are the best things to have if you live in this nation. I recommend it highly. If I see a penny on the ground, I leave it alone and fucking flip it. I'm a straight white male in America. I've got all the luck I need. Shit's gonna work out for me, cause I'm a straight white male in America. I've got all the luck I need.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Intellectual Dollar Tree. We do this show live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific right here on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. You can support this project by subscribing to the channel like Juco just did. Bits on Twitch, of course. And or just go to our website, echoplexmedia.com. There's a whole list of ways to support the channel. We just dropped our Halloween merch today, so check out the Halloween 2023 merch. Shout out to the media wench who will never watch this show, but made the artwork for the Halloween merchandise. I'm Producer Dave. You can find me on Grindr. Something's wrong. This is a live show, everyone. Can you tell? I think it might be me. Hold on. In fact, I know what happened. Yeah. Okay, try again.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. My name is HK Perrin. You can find me on Mastodon at port87.social/hperrin without the K.
Cool. Well, now that everything works, we've been putting this off for a couple weeks because I didn't want to do this, because I don't want to do this. But we're going to do Michio Kaku this week. Michio Kaku is a physicist who works at, I believe, New York, the University of the City of New York, if I'm not mistaken. And he is interested in string theory. And I don't know anything I know very little about physics. I know nothing about string theory. But what's going to be great here is he's going to be talking about quantum computing with Michael Shermer. And I don't think he knows anything about quantum computers. So I think nobody's going to know anything here.
I would explain string theory to you, but I need 2 paper towel tubes and a rubber band.
I would cry.
That's actually how you explain all physical theories, is with paper towel tubes and rubber bands.
Didn't Eric use wasn't it a toilet paper tube?
I thought it was a paper towel tube. You could use a toilet paper tube if you're in a pinch to explain a physical theory.
Well, in any case, here we go. This is how quantum computers will change everything. Oh, by the way, this is on the Michael Shermer show, so we might also just get random racial slurs.
Oh gosh. Yep.
Hi everyone, it's Michael Shermer, and that means it's time for another episode of the Michael Shermer. You buy, as usual, the Skeptic Society, which publishes Skeptic Magazine, which you can pick up at your local bookstores, Barnes & Noble, or any...
Oh, great, their economics edition. Socialism sucks. We did a skepticism.
Magazine and order it there also, not only in print, but also digital, so you can read it on your phone or your smartphone, your laptop or your iPad, or wherever you read your content. You can also support the show and our work at skeptic.com/donate if you want to make a donation. Skeptic Society is a 501c3 nonprofit education organization.
Can I donate like a letter, like an envelope full of loose glitter to them?
You could.
My guest today is Dr. Michio Kaku, the co-founder of String Field Theory, and he is the Henry Samat Professor in Theoretical Physics at the City University of New York. He graduated with a BA from Harvard and a PhD in Physics from the University of California at Berkeley. He has hosted several TV specials.
Michio Kaku has quite the bed.
The Science Channel.
Look at those bedposts.
He hosts 2 national science radio shows, Exploration and Science Fantastic, show I've been on a bunch of times. He's the author of numerous New York Times best-selling books, including The God Equation. Oh, you were on this show for that. So you're our returning champion, Michio.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Also, The Future of the Mind, The Future of Humanity, Physics of the Future, Hyperspace, Parallel Worlds, Physics of the Impossible, and Beyond.
God damn, write some more books, will you?
Quantum Supremacy, How the Quantum Computer Revolution Will Change Everything. I listened to the whole thing in audio, Michio. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. So the first thing I want to ask you is, how is it you're able to do theoretical physics and be a full-time professor and write all these fantastic books? How do you do that?
Well,
that's like his job.
I have to say that there's a lot of interest in the fact that the computer industry is in turmoil.
Wait, hold on. Pause for a second. Like, he asked, how can you do theoretical physics and be a professor? Like, theoretical physicists are usually professors.
Also really interesting is if you check this out, he asked the question, right? How do you do all this? And he goes, then he just like went right on into like, there's a lot of disruption in the computer industry. Check this out. Watch this.
How do you do that?
Well, first of all, I'm proud to say that there's a lot of interest in the fact that the computer industry is in turmoil. The book, Quantum Supremacy, just hit the New York Times bestseller list.
Really?
He's like, I don't think...
Wait, the computer industry is in turmoil.
He basically said, fuck your question.
But what does he mean? The computer industry is in turmoil? I'm in the computer industry. Is it in turmoil and I just didn't notice?
Congratulations.
Yeah, so it's now officially a bestseller.
All right.
Yeah. And just remember that, every physicist has a hobby. Believe it or not, a lot of string theorists like to go hiking. I prefer not to go hiking.
Yeah, you go on Ancient Aliens.
To talk to people and write books. This is what I do for a hobby. And it's, of course, educational, because I want people to share the same enthusiasm and the same vitality with which I approach science. And I think it's infectious that if you say that you're interested in physics and then you explain many of the wonders of the universe through physics, people get hooked. And that's why I do it.
Interesting. And just curious, as a fellow author, how do you work? Do you set aside like a block of 3 hours a day to write, or you just do it catch as catch can?
Well, it's a hobby. So what I do is I scan the internet. I look for the latest developments in space travel. And
wait, he's not even answering the questions. What the fuck is this? This is bizarre, right?
Yes, it is.
Let's go back. Check this out. Is this even happening in real time, or does he have like a set of answers he just sends out to people, and then Michael Shermer's editor just didn't even tell him like what Michael Shermer's editor's fucking with him, telling him to ask the wrong questions.
I'm just curious, as a fellow author, how do you work? Do you set aside like a block of 3 hours a day to write, or you just do it catch as catch can?
Well, it's a hobby. So what I do is I scan the internet. I look for the latest developments in space travel and astronomy and biology and genetics. And then once in a while, an idea pops in my head. And I say, oh, Jack can write a book about that. And so then I just,
it's not what the fuck? This is the strangest interview we've ever watched. And we've watched some weird shit on here. I don't mean like the content of it, just like the lack of I don't know, interaction. It's weird.
It certainly is strange so far.
Sometimes I feel like you and me talk past each other and I complain about it vociferously. But this is a whole other level here.
And writing books is much easier than the old days. The old days, I had to go to the New York Public Library. It was a hassle. You wasted the whole day trying to negotiate through the labyrinth of the New York Public Library. Now, with the push of a button, you can write a book.
Yes, well,
Wait, is he saying that ChatGPT writes his books?
Wait, hold on.
Did you just say with the push of a button you can write a book?
He did say that, but also you've never had to go to the library to write a book.
Well, I mean, if you're writing a book about maybe physics, you would probably have to go to the library to like do some research.
Okay, so like for reference material, sure. But like I'm really confused as to what he meant there. Does he mean like, okay, to do research?
I think so.
For
yeah.
writing the book?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's what he means. Yeah. I don't think that he means
okay,
you
so
have to
push button, get research.
Right, but I don't. It's absurd to think that he means you have to physically be in the library to write a book. Plus, I don't even think he believes in.
Now he's saying you can write a book at the push of a button, but like that's not how research works either. Not even on the internet. So
I'm really
very confused.
So far. I thought this was going to be pretty boring, but so far I'm fascinated by this, but not for the reasons that most people would think that you'd be fascinated by this.
I'm very confused so far.
Well, let's see what else. Let's see what other kind of awkward interactions and bizarre answers we come across here.
To that extent, then Chat GPT or GPT-4, 4.5, whatever. Would you continue writing your books, or are you going to basically hire it done by an AI?
Well, let's look at what...
Okay, so he was talking about writing a book through an AI. No, you can't do that. I mean, you could, but it's not copyrightable, so you wouldn't.
Or he wasn't talking about that, and Shermer just assumed he was talking about. Who knows?
Maybe.
But I'm not comfortable making any assumptions anymore about this conversation.
They are tape recorders. What they do is they grab different aspects of a certain topic on the internet, splice it together, and put it and pass it off as if it's created by them. Now, it sounds eerie. It sounds as if
that's not what they do. That's not at all. Like that is a
human.
That is the worst description of AI I think I've ever heard.
Yeah, that over the large language model. Yeah. It doesn't work that way at all. It's basically guessing the next word. It's not really even plagiarizing most of the time. Plagiarism might be an improvement in a lot of cases, right?
Yes. Like you could train it to plagiarize by feeding it the same data over and over and over again. And then it'll learn like, okay, if you start with this line, I'll just finish the rest of the book because that's what comes after that line.
Right.
But like, yeah, you'd have to intentionally do that.
Did write these.
Yeah. Like you said, it's just
all the robot
predicting the next word.
Did was plagiarize. And it's like a tape recorder that simply takes existing sound and puts it together. And so there's no originality right from
okay, so no, he's just completely wrong here. Like it's so demonstrably untrue too, because like, okay, so if you wanted to build a machine that just plagiarized things, right? You would put all the things in the machine, right? The machine would have to have all those things. ChatGPT is trained on like hundreds of terabytes of information, but the model that they infer ChatGPT on is only a few gigabytes big.
Okay, but what? I mean, and then the other thing is, if you wanted to build a machine to plagiarize or fucking steal, we already have that. It's called the Pirate Bay. Early versions of it were called Napster.
You wouldn't need an AI to do that. But like, it's just absolutely wrong to think that like it's just copying like what it's seen. It's not copying what it's seen. It's modeling what it's seen, but like that's what humans do. So you know, it's so demonstrably untrue what he's saying. And if he thought about it for like 5 minutes, he'd think like, okay, trained on hundreds of terabytes of information, The model itself is only a few gigabytes big. You can't fit hundreds of terabytes into a few gigabytes. You just can't do that's thousands of times more data than fits in there.
Okay, so far we've had bizarre answers to questions that weren't really asked, and then just a bad, incorrect definition of how a large language model works.
Yeah, the worst definition that I've ever heard.
Right from wrong, truth and falsehood. It's a tape recorder. And that's why I think there's plenty of room for writers who are creative and can go beyond simply parroting what other people have said.
Yeah, there was this statement signed by.
I mean, that's what writers do, though.
6-month pause on all.
That's why we can make a machine that does it, because that's what people do. We just
people that signed it were authors.
Base our ideas on other ideas.
You write, and so I tweeted at them. No one responded, but are you going to quit writing books? I mean, don't you want to write your own stuff? Who would use that? To completely replace themselves. Maybe you'd use it for research or something like that, but I just can't imagine somebody not wanting to write and just hiring a chat GPT to do the work for them.
Well, the New York Post had a big article. They quoted certain passages from a chatbot saying that the robots are going to take over, humans will be irrelevant, welcome the reign of robots. And there's a chatbot saying these things. What happened, of course, was some teenage boy was ranting and raving on the computer. And look, all the chatbot does is it takes bits and pieces of.
He's even wrong about that. No. The thing he's talking about was this really weird conversation that Kevin Roose from the New York Times had with a chatbot, where it said all that shit, but then it eventually said that the guy's wife was going to leave him for the chatbot. And it got real weird real fast. This is not a teenage boy. This is like a New York Times reporter. I know what he's talking about, but he's got the whole thing wrong. I listen, by the way, everybody should check out, if you're interested in technology, check out the Hard Fork podcast. It's Casey Newton, who used to work for Nilay Patel over at The Verge. And he's also, strangely enough, Kara Swisher's fucking tenant. And also Kevin Roose from the New York Times. They do a really good job on their show. They're shit libs. You'll like them anyway.
Statements and splices them together.
But Dave, Michio is saying it with such confidence. You have to believe him. How could he have that much confidence if he was completely and utterly wrong?
He has the newspaper wrong. The only part that, and unless there's something I don't know about, I know that a major, I don't want to go over this again. I just went over it.
You can.
Well, I mean, he was like completely wrong about how LLMs work in the first place.
All sorts of different kinds of dishonesty if you don't watch out. So it's better to write it yourself rather than relying upon a chatbot.
Yeah. Do you have any concerns that advanced AI could lead to the extinction of the species or the collapse of civilization, or even something like mass unemployment or some big catastrophic threat to our lives?
Well, I think unemployment will change. But then again, take a look at it this way. We don't have blacksmiths anymore, but we don't cry.
Yeah, we do.
We do actually. It's just it's a specialized field now. It's
not as important as, well, I mean, it's not as in demand as it used to be.
Right. It's more people would, it's more for like art, more often than not for like artisan things, for one-offs, for things that are you get it because it's made by a blacksmith a lot of the time, right? It's because it's their creation. It's like more a creative field than it was before. Not that it's not still a trade. It's just now more a creative field than it was before. And that's fine.
But yeah, we absolutely still have blacksmiths.
In fact, the one of my favorite things a blacksmith ever did was showed people how that 9/11 truthers are stupid, because he had steel and he's like, look, I can make this steel very weak without turning it into liquid. He's like, this is how the building fell, you dumb fucks.
Yeah.
Blacksmiths anymore because they became automobile workers and other kinds of workers. And in the same way, a carpenter.
No, he's just wrong.
Replaced by a hammer. A hammer does not replace a carpenter. A hammer increases the power of a carpenter. So I think that in the future, the people who will lose jobs are those that are purists, who want to do everything by hand and shun any kind of computer-aided work. And the people who will thrive.
I think he's wrong about this too. I I don't think that like everyone's going to be unemployed because AI is taking all the jobs. But I do think that like AI will change what jobs are necessary for like a human to do. And it's not the same as like a carpenter and a hammer, because like a hammer can't make decisions, an AI can. So like you need the human there to decide where to strike the hammer, right?
Right.
A hammer can't like decide where to strike itself. Even if the hammer can strike itself, it can't decide where to do that. So the AI can make these kind of decisions. So the AI is going to take over the jobs that require the kinds of decisions that an AI would be able to make.
The people that understand the limitations of this technology and use it. And remember, you got to be careful when you use this technology. You cannot yell fire in the middle of a crowded theater. That's against the law. And so we have a situation.
If there's a fire there, you can.
Speech.
Yeah, nobody ever brings that part up. Well, actually, it's your civic duty if there is a fire.
Yeah.
Although it would also be your civic duty to maybe alert people in a way that doesn't further exacerbate the situation. You might want to calmly let people know that there is a fire if you can. Maybe not scream all like, fire.
Yeah.
Within limits. And so you have to be careful that your chatbot doesn't run away and declare war and do all sorts of nonsense in your name. And that's the problem that we have to negotiate.
Oh, actually, anything stupid I ever said on Twitter, it was my chatbot.
Well, that's the only scenario that I've heard that could possibly
Dave
be
GPT.
like a catastrophe where some AI creates a deep fake video of President Biden ordering his cabinet or the Pentagon to launch first strike missiles against the Soviet Union, Russia. And then they
Man, you live in the past.
Nuclear war when actually nobody wanted that except some teenager with an AI. What could we do to prevent something like that?
Man, why is it always the teenagers?
Yeah,
these guys really hate teenagers.
This is get off my lawn, and it also assumes that that Russia doesn't have like any kind of radar detection system that might be able to tell if there are in fact missiles heading in the direction of Russia. They're like, oh shit, I saw it on YouTube. Fire the missiles.
It's also assuming that like Russia has no concept of the idea that like deep fakes are a thing. Like I'm pretty sure Russians also know about deep fakes. They exist in the world just like we do.
Or as that one lady at the at the Shasta County Board of Supervisors accused someone's friends in San Jose of doing was making fake deeps. It's very funny.
Deeps?
Fake deeps. I think she was talking about us too.
I think there has to be a fact checker. Take a look at media. When you see a movie, at the end of the movie, there's a disclaimer saying that this movie was fake. All the actors are fake. This movie from start to finish is fake. Movies have that. And comic books, I remember when I was a kid, comic books would have...
I think he's talking about the disclaimer that's like all of these events and people are fictitious. Any resemblance to a real person is only coincidental.
Yeah.
But like that's so the movie doesn't open itself up to like defamation lawsuits.
Right. That's a lawyer. That's a law GPT.
Yeah, like
law GPT wrote that.
I think he has a misunderstanding of like why we do that. We don't do that because people are going to go, hey, I'm pretty sure that movie was real. I'm pretty sure there is a planet called Pandora with a bunch of big blue aliens on it. And we send some people there.
That's
like,
crazy.
no, everyone knows that that's fake.
You know what's weird is that was the first movie I thought of was Avatar too. I don't know why. We're both the same kind of dork, I guess.
that outraged parents. Parents complained to Congress. Congress forced the comic industry to rein in some of the horrible stories it was printing. And today there's a comic code. That is, the comics are self-regulated. Movies are self-regulated. Rather than having the heavy hand of some bureaucrat try to ride this issue onto a re-election, we're talking.
There are actually like a lot of regulations about comic books and movies. I'm not exactly sure what he means by self-regulated.
He means the rating system, HK. I mean, and he's he's not completely wrong, but the thing is, like, what the movie, the movie companies didn't want to do is end up in court with with a bunch of First Amendment cases all the time, right? That's what they didn't want, so they just started rating their movies. And somebody in the chat told us that the Comic Code Authority folded in 2002. So, like, he's not wrong in that they regulate themselves, but it's just that they're like, oh, it's the rating system. It's G, PG, PG-13, R, and X for movies, and that's self-imposed. It's not government imposed. They agree.
Okay,
to that.
so they rate themselves. They don't regulate themselves. Like, that's not a regulation. You can buy unrated movies.
I mean, listen, if that, I'm not gonna get, like, with all the nonsense that we've heard in the first 11 minutes of this, that's not the one I'm gonna get stuck on. Okay, I just don't feel like that's a good place for us to get stuck.
I just feel like he really should stick to physics.
Oh, I bet
when he talks about other things, he tends to. I mean, just based on the 11 minutes that we've seen so far, when he goes out of his lane, he tends to be incredibly wrong.
That's if you remember last week, remember the Gurometer? That's galaxy brain. That's galaxy brainness.
Okay, yeah.
You remember this guy's galaxy brain factor is off the chart.
Well, I'm an expert in one field, so I must be an expert in all fields.
I have a Tesla that if I instructed it, please navigate to LAX in the fastest possible route, and it took me up on sidewalks to mow down pedestrians, it would be, a New York minute before the regulatory state jumped all over Tesla and stopped the production.
Are you saying that's what it doesn't do?
Right.
Right. So technology is a double-edged sword. Any technology is like that. One side cuts against ignorance, poverty, disease, enriches society, but the other side of the sword can cut against people. And so this is a very powerful technology. If a teenager impersonates Vladimir Putin and declares war on NATO, we're in big trouble.
No, we're not. The teenagers are not going to do that.
But also Photoshop has existed for 30 years at this point. We're all used to images being faked.
And I just don't know why. Why is it? I guess there must be just some really evil teenager that they've both met.
I just think they're grumpy old men.
That it is self-regulated. And that's where quantum computers come in. I talked to several computer scientists, and they say that a lot of their computers are not up to speed. That is, fact-checking such a volume of statements being put on chatbots is beyond the capability.
Can I meet these computer scientists that you met?
Can we let him finish what he's saying here? Because I think he's going to say something really stupid again.
Oh, we need a new generation of computers, quantum computers, that would help to regulate some of the nonsense that goes on the internet. So
he just said the stupid thing I thought he was going to say. Does he not think that once quantum computing becomes ubiquitous, that people are going to use it in all of a sudden it's just going to be used for good and not that it's not going to be used to create the kind of nonsense that he thinks that it's supposed to regulate?
Also, I don't think quantum computers would be any better than classical computers at that kind of computation.
Oh, but let's just say that they potentially could be. That this is the dumb idea that the next technology is going to save us, right? It's not. It's just going to be like every other technology. Like you just said fucking 30 seconds ago in the video that you could use it for good and bad. Well, when those become ubiquitous, they're going to be used for good things and bad things, just like every other fucking technology.
Yep. Supposedly they make breaking RSA a lot easier, which are literally our entire
They're not talking about that. We're really, we have to. I want to kind of stay focused on what they're talking about.
Okay.
Fact checking, I think, is the way to go.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, quantum computing.
Yeah, but a computer is not going to be a good fact checker. Pretty much, I can pretty much guarantee you, a computer might be good at determining how likely it is for something to be AI generated, but it's not going to be good at determining whether a thing is true or not.
And
like,
what if because it's a quantum fact checker, all that needs to happen is quantum bullshit? Like, do you know what I'm saying?
this is quantum true. Which is the same thing as quantum false. So good luck determining that.
Feynman famously said, no one understands quantum physics. Okay, if Feynman says that, then what hope is there for me? None. So kind of walk us through what is quantum physics and what would a quantum computer be like and how would it differ from...
I swear, I thought he was saying Biden at first. He was saying Feynman.
Yeah.
Well, I was like,
it computes in binary.
Biden's not a quantum physicist.
For example, if you think about it, it can spin this way, but imagine for the moment it could also spin this way. And so a spinning top would have two modes, up and down, which can be related to zeros and one. And that's it. That's all that we have with computer power. Now imagine that this thing can rotate and rotate at any angle simultaneously. How much more powerful is that? How many more states do we have to integrate over? Infinite number. We have infinite number of states that the top can orient itself, surpassing the power of any digital computer, which computes on zeros and ones, zeros and one. And about 2 years ago, there was a race, and the quantum computer in China and also at Google met the challenge. They beat a standard supercomputer at a certain select question. So in other words, we have already achieved quantum supremacy. That is, quantum computers on select problems can exceed the capability of any digital computer.
But that's stupid too, because he's just saying that they're better at what they're better at.
Yeah, there was a very, very important clause in that sentence.
Right. At a thing, basically they're better at what they're better at.
Yeah, at certain tasks.
Yeah. And that's what a new tool is for. Right?
I feel like
any new tool is for a certain task. Like
those tasks right now, at least, absolutely do not include AI.
Right. Like most of the compute like for AI is being done by GPUs.
Yes, which are classical computers.
Wow. Okay.
They are not quantum in any way.
A couple of order magnitude faster or better than a current computer. It's essentially infinitely more powerful.
But also, he was saying like ones and zeros as if like a computer can only operate on a single one and a single zero. Like computers operate on like more than just one bit at a time.
Right. And they're massively parallel, especially GPUs.
Yeah. Like there's a reason your computer has like 16 billion bytes of memory.
Right.
It's because it can operate on like 16 billion bytes worth of stuff at the same time. I mean, at the, same time, quote unquote.
Right. Obviously it's not all at the same time, but for our purposes as the user, it's the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like most computers are like 4 to 6 cores. So your computer can do 4 to 6 things at once. Maybe 12 if it has hyperthreading, but like, it switches between things so fast that you don't even notice. But like, again, like he's trying to say like, because the bit only has a 1 and a 0, the computers aren't sufficient. And it's like, yeah, we don't use a single bit. Like, sure, if you break it down, like it's all made out of bits, ones and zeros, but like nothing in the computer is really like nothing, at least meaningful in the computer, is really represented by a single bit.
And like, yeah, this is, I don't think he understands computers very well, and that's fine. I mean, at a fundamental level, absolutely. I don't understand them very well either, but I'm not on here telling you the difference between a quantum computer and a binary computer, because I would be like, well, I don't know, ask a computer scientist, and then a computer scientist would be like, ask a different computer scientist. I'm not that kind of computer scientist. Right.
I know a whole lot about classical computers. I don't know a whole lot about quantum computers, but what he's like, the way he's describing a classical computer is ridiculous. Like no one can look at like a modern laptop and think, gosh, this thing is so limited because it can only operate on 1 and 0.
I don't even know how this stream is happening.
It's just a 1 and a 0, Dave.
And just remember that there's a race. The Chinese are backing what are called optical quantum computers, computing on light beams. In the United States, we use electrons. Google, IBM, they're computing on electrons in order to do these calculations. And the world.
Don't worry, Shermer. Fucking Michio Kaku doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about either. Did you see Shermer do that? I don't know. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I don't think Michio Kaku does either.
Yeah, I'm also a little confused about what he just said.
Right? No, that's fine. That's fine.
The world economy could eventually be determined by which nation, which company is first to market a usable quantum computer. So there's a lot at stake. Meanwhile, Silicon Valley could become a rust belt. You realize that computers are getting, transistors are getting tinier and tinier. At Christmas time, this means that your toys are twice as powerful as the previous Christmas. That cannot be sustained.
Is that Moore's Law that your fucking Teddy Ruxpin is fucking twice as annoying for half the money next year? Is that right? Is that Moore's Law?
Like your toys?
I mean, I know what he means. He means that like he's talking about Moore's Law, which is, has more or less been true for longer than people actually expected. Like Moore's Law is that you'll have twice the power for half the money every year or 2 years or whatever. And because the transistors are getting smaller, but we're getting pretty close to it. We're getting pretty close to like 1 nanometer now. And there's got to be like at some point at which you can't anymore,
There is, and we are very close to there.
But that's what I think people were saying that at 100 nanometers. So we'll see.
Yeah. We're just going to invent like a new way to like create these things that we can pack more of them. Maybe stack them on top of each other.
Or maybe 20 atoms across, approximately. In a few more years, there'll be 5 atoms across. At that point, you get leakage, the electron wave falls apart, and you get a short circuit. So in other words, Silicon Valley could become a rust belt.
Well, so where would it be? Or maybe you don't have to have an industrial center like that anymore.
Well, Silicon Valley's not an industrial center. We don't fucking all we do make here is IP.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but there are 0 foundries in Silicon Valley.
I know Global Foundries as a building, but I don't think they might be doing like maybe some prototyping there, but yeah, there's no big foundries here.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think there's any big chip fabs here. Or if there are chip fabs here, they're probably like for, they're probably like at like, 100 nanometers or 150 nanometers for things that are like for electron or for like manufacturing equipment or whatever. Yeah, we're not fabbing any GPUs, CPUs, or even the chips like on your network card or anything like that here. Yeah.
No.
What's going to replace it is quantum computers. And guess what? Guess who's leading the pack? They all have groups studying quantum computers. Microsoft, Honeywell, IBM, Google, all of them have quantum computers prototypes that they're developing. In fact, in 2 weeks, I'm flying to Santa Barbara, compliments of 60 Minutes, and we'll be taping with the quantum computer made by Google. Now, remember that these quantum computers are not ready for prime time. They are being sold, but in a limited capacity.
And I mean, it's smart enough to want to live in Santa Barbara.
Blown quantum computer that can outrace any known computer and perform incredible calculations, that is still maybe 10 or so years away.
Well, I'm here in Santa Barbara, Michio, so let me know when you're here so we can.
Oh God, nightmare blunt rotation.
I'm not far from that Google computer. Yeah, I heard about that here. How is it that is it let me rephrase that. I've been hearing these stories about AI and it's going to achieve human level consciousness. We're 5 years away, and then the joke is, and always will be. I remember when Eric Drexler's book came out, about based on Feynman's, there's plenty of room at the bottom paper. and how we were going to have these little nanobots that you can inject into your body, and it cleans up cancer cells and things like that. But that
No, you've had people on your show that think that the vaccines have that, Michael.
happened. Is it just because it's a really hard problem and that, say, quantum computing will happen, but it's not 5 years away, it's 50 years away? And, how do you deal with those kinds of almost sci-fi projections?
Well, computing with atoms is really hard. If somebody slips on the floor, burps, coughs, the vibrations from that cough could ruin the whole calculation that you're doing on a quantum computer. How do you get around that?
Oh, okay. I was like, wait a second. All computations are done with atoms.
Down to near absolute zero.
Okay, he means like
So there's no
single atoms at a time.
At all, hardly at absolute zero. So what does it look like? A quantum computer looks like a chandelier, a huge chandelier, most of them containing pipes containing liquid helium and other kinds of cold liquids. So it takes time to build these things. Now, the Chinese are using optical
And they're very expensive to
computers,
run.
and so they don't have to bring it all the way down to near absolute zero. But you see what the problem is. Now, Mother Nature has quantum computers that compute at room temperature. If you don't believe me, go outside. See the flowers, see the leaves.
What?
They're all doing quantum mechanical calculations.
No.
Room temperature.
No, yeah, I don't think those are quantum. No, I don't know if that's
False.
I don't know. I don't know exactly how to debunk that, but I just what's that? It just sets off my bullshit detector real strong.
So life is chemistry. He's talking about chemistry.
It'd be a chemical computer, basically.
Yes. Like chemicals are not quantum computers. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about there, but like your body doesn't like use a few atoms to like calculate everything. You have a really big brain sitting in your head. Like it's quite large, and it uses chemistry to perform calculations. And he was also talking about like flowers.
I don't know. Have you ever?
What the fuck does a flower compute?
You ever met a really smart petunia?
I really don't know what he's talking about there. Like, is he talking about like photosynthesis? Maybe I don't like. There are things that are explainable through quantum physics in the realm of chemistry, but that doesn't make these things a quantum computer.
This is great. I was like, I don't know about this. This is really going to suck, but I got to tell you, I'm having a lot of fun. This is fucking
This is
bullshit.
ridiculous. This is the most like fire hose of bullshit that we've had in a long time.
Don't worry, he'll go on Ancient Aliens again soon.
Sure. So we know it's possible, but right now we're still using liquid helium and different kinds of coolants to do these calculations. So you're right. It'll take a while before we work out the details.
Is there any concern about...
I really want to know what he meant right there, because I'm at a loss
Coolants
for like what he's talking about. What in nature does quantum computations?
So you're right. It'll take a while before we work out the details.
Is there any concern about somebody getting a monopoly on this kind of technology, or are you comforted by the fact that there's so much competition that nobody could actually control it?
Well, it's like a horse race. Each horse has a different mode of operation. The Chinese, as I have said, use light beams.
Wait, no, the horses all have more or less the same mode of operation. They run.
Has this guy seen a horse race?
They all do the same thing.
Does he think there are like horses on bikes and horses in cars, horses on skateboards? They'll just fucking run.
You got your steam-powered horse. You got your fucking nuclear-powered horse. You got your internal combustion horse.
This is the Segway horse. He's super fancy. What the fuck is he talking about?
Oh, fuck. I can't believe we didn't get to this guy till, what are we on, episode 250 almost? 255 or some shit of this, and we never did Michio Kaku?
I think that's possibly one of the greatest things that we've ever like that quote. It's like a horse race. Every horse has a different mode of operation. What? They all run. That's their mode of operation.
Let's hear that again.
Competition that nobody could actually control it.
Well, it's like a horse race. Each horse has a different mode of operation. The Chinese, as I have said, use light beams. IBM, Google, they use electricity. Different companies use different modes because, of course, they're all quantum mechanical. There are many, many quantum mechanical devices that Mother Nature has perfected over the eons. And
like a horse?
We're in a situation where it's a horse race. But just remember that the nation or the company that wins the horse race could control a good chunk of the world economy. That's what's at stake. The world.
He also just doesn't understand a horse race because in a horse, like just because you win, like the horse that's in second place still hauls ass, right? Like,
yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, but there are prizes for like coming in second and third.
Yeah, it's not like all the horses just explode when the first one crosses the finish line. Although it depends on their propulsion system.
Each one has a different mode of operation, I've heard.
Economy. And guess who's interested in this? The CIA. The CIA and the FBI. Documents leaked out from the CIA show clearly.
Wait. Hold on a second. Are you telling me that the United States government is interested in breakthrough technology?
Also, a document that leaked out of the CIA. I'm sorry, buddy. I think you don't understand the nature of the CIA. If that document leaked out of the CIA, that's because they wanted you to see it. All right. They're doing obfuscation on you, buddy. They're actually working on a nuclear powered horse.
Monitoring the situation very carefully. And NIST, the government that controls standards, like the old National Bureau of Standards, they even issued a directive saying that quantum computers are not here yet, but you got to be prepared. Because when they do arrive, they can crack any known digital code. The crown jewels of the CIA are up for grabs once a quantum computer is up and running. So you see what the stakes are.
So that he's talking about cracking like RSA and elliptic curve algorithms.
Yeah.
So yes, that could potentially be a big problem. I think this is the first thing that he said that was correct.
Right, but it assumes that new forms of encryption maybe created using quantum computers won't exist. Like, it's dumb again.
Well, it is an actual problem because if someone were like recording something right now that used like a public key exchange through RSA, that could potentially be replayed in the future and cracked. And, if that information, if that confidential information were still valid in the future, that could be a big issue. Sure.
But I mean, like, I just think that I think it's always going to be cat and mouse. They used to just, we have encryption now that's stronger than it was 30 years ago. So I just feel like I've been hearing this, and I don't think that it's just like all of a sudden, like, you know what I'm saying? I don't think it's going to work like that. I don't think it's like an on-off switch. And I think that's the way like a lot of people talk about it.
Yeah, I think it'll slowly get broken as, I think you're right. The cat and mouse game, the most advanced encryption will slightly outpace the best encryption cracking. Kind of how it is right now,
The idea of a 6-month pause on artificial intelligence is pretty ridiculous because none of the countries working on this are going to pause, and none of the companies that are in a race are going to pause. So who is it that's supposed to pause?
Yeah.
Well, when Elon Musk suggested 6 months pause on AI, it was probably just so that whatever fucking bullshit he thinks he's doing could catch up.
Going to be a problem. However, look at comic books, look at movies, look at a lot of things where copyrights are, kind of vague. They are policed internally. And so it is possible, but like I said,
Copyright isn't vague.
we have a ways to go before we get a uniform code for the whole industry. But every technology has a good side and a bad side. Every technology, without exception, including these technologies and AI. So I think at some point, AI has to be self-regulated, or else the government will regulate it for you.
Mm-hmm. On the physics of all this, is it, because I don't really understand it, is it possible to have multiple kinds of quantum computers such that there's not one technology that anybody could have a monopoly on because there's different forms of it?
That's right. If you take a look at the variety of things around you, it's all quantum. Nature does not use zeros and one binary. Nature is strictly quantum mechanical. And there are many ways in which you can...
I mean, that's kind of what quantum means, though. It means it's quantized. It means you could break it down to zeros and ones if you wanted to. Like if you had infinite computational power, you could break the universe down into just zeros and ones. Its state is describable in quanta, right?
Race, but each horse is backing a slightly different version of quantum mechanics. And the creepy thing about this is that each one of these modes is computing in a parallel universe. Now, this means that electrons can be more than one position at any given time. Now, ever since you were a child, your parents told you you cannot be two places at the same time. Well, they lied to you. It turns out that in the quantum world, electrons are always many places at the same time. That's just the name of the game. In other words, why are quantum computers so powerful? Because they compute on parallel universes.
Wait, what?
How many parallel universes are there? Infinite.
What?
So Hollywood got it almost right.
I don't know if I would put it that way. That's at least if you're going to put it that way, make it clear that like that is not the only interpretation of this phenomena. And I wouldn't even say that that's the most popular interpretation.
And like, I don't understand much about the idea of like superposition, which is what he's talking about, but I don't think it requires parallel universes.
Yeah, I think he's referencing like the many worlds hypothesis of.
I think he forgot that he's not on Ancient Aliens.
But yeah, that I'm not going to disagree with what he says, but I am going to say that is one interpretation of like quantum mechanics, and there are other interpretations.
All the Oscars were swept up by the multiverse, but hey, what can I say? The multiverse is the arena in which quantum computers operate. And then the next question I often get is Elvis Presley still alive in a parallel universe? And the answer is, well, probably yes.
Wait, what?
Probably is a parallel universe someplace where...
Fuck it, we're gonna leave that one alone, all right? We got...
Well, but it wouldn't be him exactly.
This is fucking wild.
Different version.
It would be a different version than our version of Elvis Presley.
Maybe he'd be blonde instead of brunette or something.
That's possible. You go crazy thinking about this. You know, when I look in a mirror...
No, that's not possible. That would mean he had different DNA, so it wouldn't be Elvis Presley. What? What the fuck?
This is so fucking crazy.
What is this interview?
Seeing myself as I really am. I'm seeing myself, first of all, a billionth of a second ago, because that's what it takes for light to go from my face to the mirror to my eyes, about a billionth of a second. But there are infinite versions of me, some of which go outside, some of which go to the kitchen, some of which go into a car or the subway system. And here I am thinking that I'm the only game in town, that I'm the only...
So the obvious question, and I don't think Shermer's going to ask it, is, what the fuck are you talking about?
I think the obvious question is like, why would this matter at all? Like, let's say it is true. Let's say that, every event in quantum mechanics splits off into like infinitely many universes, and where every possible outcome happens in some universe.
It's like that movie
we're only
Final
living in
Destination.
one universe, so
it's like
that doesn't matter.
It's like that movie Final Destination.
Did they have a multiverse in Final Destination?
Never mind.
Me. I think we have to revise the word me. What does me mean if you can have parallel universes?
Well, but these are all at quantum level effects, not at the macro level where we live, right? I mean, whether the moon exists or not, is not an appropriate question for the macro level. It's there whether I look at it or not, but that's different at the quantum level where the observation does make a difference. Well,
I asked Steve Weinberg, the Nobel Prize winner.
So it's not the observation that this is a common misconception. It's not that a person is there looking at it. It's the interaction with the equipment used to observe it.
Right. The the observer effect doesn't mean that like like I used to think this one DJ named Dragonfly, if she just looked at a record, she could slow it down. That's not the observer effect. That was just me being on a lot of drugs at a rave, thinking she just gave a record a dirty look and the beats were matched up again. Like,
yeah. See, these guys have that same. These guys are on that same level, but without the drugs. Even I don't know. Maybe they are on drugs.
Michael Shermer's blown his nose a lot. Maybe he did a bunch of cocaine before this.
He gave the following analogy.
Why would you not cut away to the other camera?
Radio. How many frequencies are there in your living room? Hundreds of different kinds of radio frequencies are there, but your radio has decohered from the other frequencies, only vibrates in unison with the radio station that you're listening to. Now, replace all the radio waves with electron waves, all the possible orientation of electrons. So in your living room, there are, in principle, the electrons of dinosaurs, pirates, aliens from outer space, asteroids from outer space.
It's all frequencies, man. Yeah, this is the idea of like dinosaur pee. Like every drop of water you've ever drank was once dinosaur piss.
In other words, for all
right?
intents and purposes,
Sure.
you can't visit Elvis Presley. It means, of course, it's theoretically possible, but it's not practical.
It's not technically true because you could create new water, combine hydrogen and oxygen, then it wouldn't have been dinosaur piss.
Well, I'm glad we cleared that up. Or filtered it.
You know what? We need to start a company where we create our own water and sell it with the promise that it's never been dinosaur piss.
Boy, that's great. I'm sure. Excellent.
I'm going to patent that idea. That's my idea. Don't steal it.
Calculate the probability that you'll wake up on Mars. Now, when you do the calculation, you find out that you have to wait longer than the lifetime of the universe for that to happen. But it's not zero. So in principle, it may be possible to wake up on Mars. However, I wouldn't bet on it.
The easiest way to wake up on Mars is to travel to Mars, and that's very hard.
Yeah, so here, you look in the mirror, who are you looking at? What is the self? You have this.
It's very hard if you want to wake up.
Quantum computers
once you get there.
help us achieve that.
And it's easy if you don't mind dying on the way.
So for this reason,
Yeah.
I define the self as your point of view.
Well, not
self.
easy,
You
but
looking
less
into your
hard.
eyes, experiencing life from moment to moment to moment. There's a break when you go to sleep and you wake up, or general anesthesia, you wake up. But after death, the process is over. It's gone. A digital copy of you is just that. It's just a copy. You're not experiencing anything. You're gone. And so
did you ever get high in a dorm room and fucking talk until like 3 a.m? Because that's what this reminds me of.
They're talking about like dualism now. This is ridiculous.
It's like, man, have you ever did you ever wonder like if that pizza, like, is it really a circle, man?
What if we made the pizza a triangle? Would it still be pizza?
Hey, when you cut a piece of it, it's almost a triangle. It's still pizza.
Is it though?
that are having a conversation with digital Michio Kaku because we've uploaded all the lectures you've ever given and every audiobook you've read and everything about you.
No. This is incorrect. What he's talking about is just like an AI that can reproduce like the patterns that are you. It studies you and reproduces your patterns. No. That's not what people talk about when they're like uploading your consciousness into the computer.
Right. They're talking about that episode of the X-Files called Kill Switch, where the guy fucking uploads himself to the internet, and then like his girlfriend uploads herself to the internet and smoke comes out of her eyes afterwards. That's what they're talking about, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that episode, but that sounds, yes. What I'm talking about causes smoke to come out of your eyes. Yeah.
Well, there we go.
But yeah, what they're talking, like what people mean by like uploading your consciousness to a computer is like uploading the state of your brain and then like continuing the processes that your brain goes through, but in the computer. That's not like just modeling an LLM after everything you've ever said.
Right. Otherwise like that the Wisdom of Chopra website would just be uploading. We would have just uploaded Deepak Chopra into that instead of it having to make up dumb things that Deepak Chopra said. My fucking God, what is this?
A relatively thoughtful conversation with you, but you're not conversing with anybody. It's just the digital copy of you. So that's not you.
I agree. I mean, that's like a question of a digital copy, but a quantum copy would be more or less identical to you. The memories, the personality quirks, the figures of speech, they would all be identical to you, and you would exist in parallel universes, but you cannot enter them because we're very big. We consist of...
Okay, so here's a question for Michio. Quantum copy, digital copy, right? If I can take the quantum copy and encode it digitally, do I not have a digital copy of the quantum state of a person? And if I could then take that digital copy and decode it into a person, wouldn't I have perfectly copied that person?
Unfortunately, he's not here to answer your question. So, and I understand your question was rhetorical.
Yeah, like he's making this difference where there is none. Like a digital copy doesn't mean like, an LLM that's trained on your data. It like digital copy just means whatever you're trying to encode, encoded digitally.
Right. It's like, I mean, we do it with music, we do it with video, we do it with all kinds of things, and it is a copy of the thing. This would just be a far more complicated, and in Michio Kaku's case, possibly much more infuriating copy.
Yeah. And especially when we're talking about audio, we can record audio perfectly. Like if you have like an audio source that you want to record up to a certain frequency, like say 24 kilohertz, which is higher than almost every human can hear. All you have to do is record it at a 48 kilohertz sampling rate. And if your microphone is picking up that sound, you're recording an exact copy. There's no fundamental difference between like the playback of that copy and the playback of the original.
But have you ever gotten like stoned? Have you ever got stoned in a dorm room and listened to vinyl, man?
I have. Yeah, it's fucking great. Holy shit, it's so good. But vinyl is different, it hits different than digital. Like with digital, you could get like the perfect copy, but vinyl isn't a perfect copy, and that's why it's nice. That's what makes it better. Is it's not perfect, it's vinyl.
And it's not quantum either.
Yeah, it's not quantum, it's vinyl.
Atoms approximately. That's a lot. That's a lot.
Now, here's a real question: could you take a person and copy them onto vinyl?
We cannot freely move between these universes, like in the Hollywood movies, which won all the Oscars this year. However, theoretically, it's possible, and at the atomic level, electrons do it all the time. It's called lasers. It's called GPS. All the wonders of electronic technology are due to the fact that electrons can be two places at the same time. Now, if you don't like it, get used to it. That's just the way.
Wait, you don't like it? What, are there people mad at it?
Okay, I understand. But could you explain?
We're here, but we're also there. Get used to it. Oh, man.
Or what decoherence means?
Well, everything is made out of electrons and subatomic particles, and they vibrate. They vibrate at a certain frequency. When something vibrates in unison with that frequency, then you can make a transition between these objects. So in principle, if there was a parallel universe right next to you, which was vibrating in unison with your parallel universe, then you can move between these universes. Now, in practice, of course, you get decoherence. Something that is in phase eventually falls out of phase, and you can no longer make the transition between these universes.
All right, now I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
And that's why we call them lasers. They are coherent. They vibrate in unison with each other. So in other words, to go to a parallel universe, you would have to vibrate at the same frequency as that universe.
What?
And that is extremely hard to do, except at the atomic level, where electrons do it all the time, and it's called electronics.
Okay.
So he's saying that electronics work because electrons are passing through parallel universes all the time.
I think that's what he said. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to, man, we're going to get a lot of negative feedback on this episode because people are going to be like, you don't understand parallel universes. And I'd be like, oh, all right, cool. I'll cop to that.
I'm just trying to interpret what he said here. What he said is nonsensical. Like that's, as far as I understand electronics, they do not require parallel universes that vibrate in frequency.
And
I could have maybe I missed that chapter.
And if he didn't mean that, he did a really bad job of explaining that he didn't mean that.
Yeah. Because that's what I interpreted what he just said to mean. And as far as I know, that's incorrect. I am perfectly willing to be corrected if it actually does turn out that electronics require parallel universes that vibrate in frequency to work. But as far as I know, there's no evidence of that.
By the way, on quantum computers at that very low temperature, so at close to zero, there's no molecular activity, right? So like with when I read about cryonics, how does this prevent you from decaying? Because the molecules have stopped. But the atoms don't stop whatever they're doing, jiggling or whatever atoms do?
Because of the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, you cannot reach absolute zero. Absolute zero is not attainable according to the first law of thermodynamics. You can get close. You can get close to within 1 h-bar of zero, but you can never reach absolute zero. So how does Mother Nature do all these quantum mechanical calculations? Everything you see around you, medicine, plants, food, the universe, it's all quantum mechanical. These quantum mechanical things
he said
operate at room temperature.
He said nature, and then he described medicine.
Yeah.
Medicine is not natural.
Well,
we invented medicine.
If it exists in the natural world, technically it's natural, right? But
I guess, maybe. I don't know. We invented medicine.
Sure. We can't do that yet because nature is very fast. Nature is so fast with these chemical processes that atoms don't have time to move and become decoherent. And so that's why we have photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is made possible as a quantum effect. And this is the practical application of quantum computers, medicine. It turns out that all medicine.
Okay, I understand what he was saying earlier. He was saying Mother Nature has quantum computers because quantum effects happen in nature. Therefore, that is a quantum computer. So his definition of quantum computer includes anything that has quantum effects going on within it. So I'm going to have to disagree with his definition of a quantum computer. I don't think that's what a quantum computer is. And I don't think if you asked people that they would say that that is what a quantum computer is, like the majority of people.
Cancer,
so now I understand, though, that he was...
Why are these diseases incurable?
Being metaphorical, I guess.
How do we create wonder drugs? We take thousands of petri dishes, put a little bit of poison or these bacteria in these petri dishes, hit it with different chemicals by the thousands, and then cross your fingers. That's how we make wonder drugs.
Wait, what?
That's why it costs $1 billion to make one wonder drug. Mother Nature does it for free.
Talking about antibiotics?
We have to learn from Mother Nature, and that's where quantum computers are coming in. Quantum computers, we think, can create quantum medicine. That is to create, for example, the disease called Alzheimer's is the disease of the century. Now we realize that looking at the molecular structure of the amyloid protein, there are at least two kinds of amyloid proteins. One twists clockwise, and the other twists counterclockwise. And only the right twist causes Alzheimer's.
Oh, this is where this is where he needs the paper towel roll.
The left twist does not, which means that if a quantum computer can separate the left and the right versions, we may have a potential cure for Alzheimer's disease. So diseases
I don't think you need a quantum computer to do that, though.
At the zeros and
like,
ones.
how are you going to filter all the proteins in your body through a quantum computer?
That yeah, the thing is, like, I don't know. I don't know, and I also think that, like, I think what's going on here in some ways is this idea that because this guy's like a quantum physicist, that everybody knows that he has knowledge in the area of like computer science. And I don't think that's true. I think that's
definitely not true.
I think
he means nanobots. Like if a nanobot can determine that, like, oh yes, this is a wrongly twisted protein, a prion, right? Are those called prions?
Sure.
Okay. So yeah, if it can determine, yeah, this is a prion, kill it. Then yeah, you could cure it. But that's not quantum computers. Like that's something that involves quantum mechanics, sure, but it's not quantum computers. I think he just has this idea of like the word computer meaning something that is completely different than what the rest of us would think the word computer means.
Man.
Yeah, that was a thoughtful personal story you told about your mother in the book. And yeah, we baby boomers are going to be experiencing that soon. So I hope this quantum revolution happens much sooner than the 20 years away and always will be kind of meme about that. So the problem that you're describing here is that these are hard problems to solve, like the problem of consciousness, so-called hard problem of consciousness. In what way do you think consciousness could be quantum? There are theories about this, quantum consciousness. They haven't panned out.
Yeah, but you heard them from Deepak Chopra.
Quantum computers to simulate it.
Well, personally, I don't think you need to invoke all of quantum mechanics to get quantum consciousness. I think, for example, that there's a continuum of consciousness. I say that one unit of consciousness is one feedback loop that understands where you are in the environment, like a flower. I say that a flower is conscious. A flower has maybe 2 or 3 units of consciousness to detect carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight. So a flower has an intelligence of 3 units. Then we have an alligator. An alligator understands space. It has a unit of maybe a few hundred feedback loops that allow the alligator to understand where it's located in 3 dimensions. Beyond that, we have the monkey. The monkey has social consciousness. It knows the hierarchy of who's the boss in the tribe, who is my friend, who can I gang up with, so on and so forth. That's social consciousness. And then the question is, where do we fit in this thing? Do we have spatial consciousness? Do we have social consciousness? What kind of consciousness separates us from the animals?
We are an animal.
We have time travel.
We are literally animals. So I do like this description of consciousness, and it also leads to the conclusion that we can create computers that are conscious, because nothing he described has to be unique to humans. Even the things that make us unique, like understanding language better than any other animal, being able to pass knowledge down across many generations better than any other animal, like those could apply to computers as well. So
constantly run simulations of the future. What do you do when you daydream? What do you do when you think about the future? Let's do an experiment. Talk to your dog tonight and teach your dog the meaning of tomorrow.
I've tried.
You can't. You can't.
Well, the problem might. This is the problem is the dog might have a concept of days. You don't know. The problem is being able to speak to the dog. That's the primary problem that I would have. Maybe an animal, animal behaviorist, somebody studying animal behavior might know whether or not a dog understands like days, but it certainly can't communicate it to me. So there's that's the problem there. It isn't so much whether or not I don't know whether or not the dog has a sense of what tomorrow is. I would have to guess that it probably does, but it wouldn't be able to communicate that to me. So
or at least it has the concept of like day-night cycles.
Something like that. Yeah.
I think most animals have the concept of day-night cycles, because all animals sleep. And it's not like it freaks us out. It's not like your dog goes to sleep and like wakes up freaking out like, where was I for the past 8 hours?
It's a time machine. That's all it does. It looks at different scenarios of the future. So I think that intelligence is the ability to simulate many, many roads to the future. And someone who's not so intelligent only can see the future in a very, very crude way. A safecracker, a master criminal, they can see way into the future because they can simulate human behavior and simulate the future. So I think the key to consciousness is that we have a time machine.
That's a weird example.
Don't. Otherwise, we're both conscious. I say a flower is even conscious. 2 or 3 units of consciousness. We have maybe a few thousand units of consciousness as we simulate the future.
So I don't like the idea of like consciousness being like measured in units of consciousness, because that's silly. Like something that has like the same number of units of consciousness could act completely different than something else. So I think that idea is bad. It's not useful. But yes, consciousness exists on like a gradient, Something can be like quite conscious like humans are, and something can be barely conscious, like maybe a worm is like barely conscious.
I like that a lot. What about panpsychism? This glass of water has some consciousness, although it's very limited. To me, that feels like it's going too far. I can see the flower has 3 degrees.
I would say the glass of water is unconscious.
Does that glass of water have? 0.
None. Yeah.
And the smallest number of feedback loops would be in a plant that has maybe 3, let's say, 3 units of feedback loops. And then you go up the scale. You can give a number of how conscious an animal is by calculating how many feedback loops it has in order to create a picture, a model of itself.
Well, what about like a virus that literally only has like 1 feedback loop?
Smooth spectrum.
Oh, my outer protein touched another, like a protein that it fits into.
A giant leap.
Inject myself.
Let's say from chimps to humans, in which there's something more than a quantitative difference. There's a qualitative difference in sentience.
I don't think so. I don't think it's that big, because even chimpanzees daydream to a degree. It's not much, but they do look into the future. They do plan. And that, I think, is the hallmark of our intelligence. Our intelligence is temporal.
I also think like the way he's describing it with like feedback loops of interactions with its environment, like computers have that.
Intelligence, but
like a computer has feedback loops of like when you stop giving it power, it will eventually like turn itself off to like conserve its battery, right?
Yes. But those are
or like it might brighten its screen when it's in. Yeah, but like that's a feedback loop. So he's saying that like these feedback loops equal consciousness. So does that mean a computer is like just as conscious as a flower or something? Like I'm his description of like units of consciousness and feedback loops is not useful. A computer to me is not conscious at all. Like it shares some qualities with things that are conscious, but the computer isn't like thinking and making decisions on its own.
I feel like my computer is getting pretty angry at this episode of the Intellectual Dollar Tree, actually.
Temporal intelligence, and that's what separates us from them. Now, when we meet aliens from outer space, it's often said that they're going to be more intelligent than us. Now, what does that mean? I think it means that they see the future much clearer than us. They have a better understanding of the laws of nature, and therefore
that's so weird.
Run the videotape into the future much more accurately than us. So I think that if we meet aliens who are smarter than us, what does that mean to be smarter than us? It means that they see the future much clearer than we see the future.
So he's saying that intelligence equals being able to predict like physics.
So I think he means being able to like model what the future could hold. I don't think I'm trying to be charitable here because I've been making fun of him the whole time, and we're getting to the end of the podcast portion of this show. So I'm going to try to be a little charitable here. I think he means the ability to model what the future could be like. Like that's how we make decisions, right? Based on basically modeling what those decisions could cause the future to hold for us. And I think that's what he's probably saying.
Okay.
But he could just say that.
Yeah.
That would be easier. Because I don't think that like, first of all, if somebody tells me they can see the future, I assume I'm smarter than they are. Because I know that I cannot see the future. That it is probably not, and I'm very, very probably not possible to see the future because it has not happened yet. But I think, what I think he means is the ability to like consider different models of what the future might hold based on the actions you take or the decisions that you make. And I think that,
and he was maybe giving physics as like one example of that.
Sure.
Okay.
And the thing about the aliens is I don't know that if they were to say show up here on Earth, if they would be more intelligent than us, right? It would mean that they have better technology, better ability to travel. They have more experience harnessing whatever it is in the universe to create energy to move about the universe. So
yeah, it would probably mean they're more knowledgeable than us, certainly.
And they may have
probably
more raw,
certainly probably.
And it may be that they do have more raw like problem solving horsepower as like a species than we do. It could be. But then we'd have to introduce them to Charles Murray, and he'd have to tell them about the bell curve, and like things would get real messy real quick. But hopefully they'd use their laser eyes to zap Charles Murray, and that would be good.
They'd just use they'd probably be on like Chat GPT 25, and they just let that handle him.
So I guess we're gonna end it here, and I'm not confident that I want to watch any more of this in the post game.
This is highly entertaining. The guy is wrong about a lot of things.
Or at least his examples are, I would say, needlessly complicated and oftentimes useless. And he was totally wrong about like the way a horse works.
And the way computers work too.
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
way LLMs work.
He's like,
Yeah,
here's how.
he's just wrong about a lot of things.
I'm sorry.
He started to float more in his lane towards the end there, and I feel like it became less interesting when he was not making absolutely bonkers claims about how things work.
I just liked that he said that the horses might all use different propulsion systems. Essentially, that was fucking gold. That was solid fucking gold.
I want to be on the horse that's using roller skates.
Oh, that would be the most awesome horse. It would be doing roller disco.
Roller disco horse. Rollerdiscohorse.com is the name of my new blog.
I thought you were going to say your disco punk band.
Yep, it's my new blog, my new band, and my new podcast, all in one.
I went to a rave that for some odd reason was called "Oh shit, there's a horse in the hospital," and they should have said, "Oh shit, there's a roller disco horse in the hospital," because that would have been much better. Would have been a much better.
It looks like
name for a party.
rollerdisco.horse is available, so you could go buy that domain name right now.
and then maybe sell it to Michio Kaku. Anyway, HK, do you want to read the show out?
Yes. So this has been the Intellectual Dollar Tree. We do this show every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific, live on twitch.tv/Echoplex. If you want to check us out live after the show, we do Red Light. And if you want to support us, you can do that on patreon.com/Echoplex. And you can also do it on eplex.store. Shop?
Store.
Which is it? .store. Eplex.store. I can never remember that. And if you want to check out our other shows, you can find them all at echoplexmedia.com. This is Boomers by Periscope, and we'll see you after for Red Light.